Hello, everybody. Yeah, uh, last time I got made it to where the destinations were configurable, and basically, and I had the X. I just did the X, I believe, and then this time I added the Y in, and so what happened? So basically, when I up until now, if you watched the previous videos, um, everything's gone very very smoothly, right? Like generally, I would code the next thing, sort of expand, maybe handle like one kind of small subset, and then expand to other subsets and every uh, and other things in the set. I guess would be a better way to put it. And then like it would just be smooth. Any zombie could have done the next step, which is exactly I think what you want in general. You want to kind of architect it in such a way that the way that you should expand is super obvious, and trying to expand it in a way that you shouldn't expand is awkward and clunky. And that worked. This did not work that way. Doing the animation expansion. So basically, if you go to, I'm actually afraid to do anything because this thing is so buggy right now. But basically, if you were to look at the animations, what we had just the X before, but now I have the Y, and expanding those out was just very very complicated. A bunch of stuff was broken. I had it all working last night. I got it running again, and this morning, and found a whole bunch of new bugs. And that is so par for the course, and that is so like not like not do not panic, right? That is when you want to panic, and there's no reason to panic at that point. um, you're just that is probably like basic basically that you're going to have to go back to the drawing board with architecture, or possibly add more layers of abstraction or something. But and that is kind of the whole point of sort of laying it all out on the simple a very simple single item, and then expanding. So okay, as I do, I'm just going to kind of go over what we have here. So basically, this is sort of another expansion of the countdown, right? So you got, let's see, let's see, one or three, two, one, right? So basically, it's sort of a countdown. I probably should have made it to where um, the blues ended at the end, or maybe the reds. Yeah, maybe the reds come back. But actually, I don't even have that ability. But anyway, so that's how that works. And so to get this to where you could see it, the first thing I needed was a bunch of lights, right? So basically, I've created a little grid of lights: upper left, upper middle, upper right, um, and then like this whole thing. It would be kind of nice if I had like a little button where I could just say, "Show me make me a mesh," or make okay, now hide the mesh, or remove the mesh, but that is definitely something that I want to implement in the future. But for now, we have these static lights that are sitting sort of in the grid, and then we have 9 meshes, and then or 10 meshes. We have like a background mesh, and then we have like a wall, and then we have red top, red middle, red bottom, and the reds all start off in -4 position, which is just probably right about there. Um, and then um, so like if I wanted those to start off screen, well, I'm not going to mess around with anything for a little bit. And then we have our wall, and we have our top, and we have our left, our blues, and our we have our white ones that are coming in from the right. We have our middle ones that are coming in from the bottom. And now let's see. Then we have our animations, and basically I added uh, uh, a second set of of configurations down here for so that's for Y. Um, so now I have all kinds of bugs, right? Like this is just as like honestly like This is just so buggy. This would probably be the point where, like, if it was a Friday at this point, or if we were the day before the end of the sprint, I would be like thinking of a time. All right, if I don't have this thing working like clean as a whistle by noon, I'm calling it, and I'm gonna have to slip the sprint, unfortunately. Um, but because the thing is like last night I was confident I had this working, and then this morning it wasn't, and maybe I can kind of show like an example of what's going on. I had moved the timer to the left because it sort of obstructs the um, animation, but that's not too bad. So what's one thing that's happening is like if I try to change anything in here on the left, it's not taking over to the right. It's not making it over to the mesh, and it actually just goes back. And it might screw everything up, but since we're at this point, so let's say right now I would love for the red ones to be a little start off a little farther to the left. So uh, and I don't even think that's right. If oh yeah, that should be like -4. So let's see. See how I won't even let if I hit the even if I hit a button, if I type a letter in, it just goes back. And now I don't know where that thing went. Let's see. Let's go to the mesh and let's go into edit mode. Yeah. So apparently it's at 23 now. So let's move this over to like over here. Now I think I can move it to like -8. And so now I don't like that one because then it hits the white one. Um, so let's try -6. Let's see. So um, so -6. Let's just do that 6 and -6. So I can move these over here. Now when I go back to the animation, see these it hasn't been updated there. And now we have an end of 17. So if I were to make this like 27, then it moves faster. So it shouldn't. Oh, but see it, then it actually reset the um, X. So like if I change this, then um, and so now if I go back to meshes, this is reset. So now if I make it -6, and this is like kind of the kind of thing that like if you're going to be coding for like if you want to make a career out of it, or um, if you want to like just do this for 10 years or something, you're gonna have to learn how to enjoy this kind of like this should make you feel happy inside when you have like a goofy bugs like this, because this is your learning opportunity. Like this is what it feels like to learn new things. uh, you're confused, there's like you trying things, it's not working the way you're expecting, and now you get to dig in and figure out what it is. But I think that looks perfect. um, yeah, the reds are gone, now the whites come in for 2, and then the blues go by for uh, for 3. It would be kind of nice if the blues slowed down a little bit, but unfortunately, then they end up colliding too. Um, if the tool wasn't so goofy, like if I could actually work in here, then um, then it would be so much easier to finally control how these things are coming in and coming out. But unfortunately, um, there's something goofy going on. So now for the broken code. So this went as expected, right? I just changed the Y position to an animation property descriptor and waited for all hell to break loose, and that worked. It broke. It broke in our mesh manager. So inside the mesh manager, I had to change this, and let me change to this view. Mesh manager. Okay, so let's go there. So that's where we change this from a number to the animation property descriptor. I'm going to pause this because it's definitely going to take more than a minute. Um, and then in the mesh manager, basically when I create one of these guys, I have to give it a default. So I just set it basically copied there. That probably won't be the final default, but that's the least of things to worry about. So then I had to kind of change this so that instead of looking for the number at YPOS, it's getting the value. Um, is that, gosh, that does form. Oh yeah, that's right. This is the subscription. So it's going to get the value from, let's go here, from here. Um, and it's going to put it to the start value of the Y position, because now the Y position has a start value and end value and all that. So it's going to take whatever's typed in here and put it in there. And that works great. Um, and then this is right. And this is right. And this is good, right? This is really good because you're like, all right, everything makes sense. You could literally just zombie through this and it makes sense. So to me, that is sort of the feeling. That's the sort of experience I want to feel when I expand. Um, that's what I want to experience when I want to expand from one item to two item, is just, hey, we're just going to do exactly what we did before and there's no surprises. So let's see what we changed in the oh yeah, so then in the mesh manager TypeScript, when we show the raw data, right now we show the start value. And that makes sense too. Like before, this was a whole object. Now it's just a start value. Now, next is where things got weird. So in our mesh, okay, yeah, we already did that. In our service, okay, I had to add a log because I was trying to figure out, okay, why is when I would make changes here, or actually when I was making changes here or in animation, the like if I make a change here, it would change the actual value, but the mesh would not update. Um, I mean, the form would not update over here. Um, and so basically I added a console log there, which that's not long for this world. And then in update mesh, this makes sense, right? Like before I used to set the position to this, which was just a number. Now I set it to the start value uh, of the object. And then over here, it's like, oh, okay, well, anytime we make a change, we're changing the values in the animated pairs. So we have to publish that to the world, and the publishing won't work if it's the same object. So if it's the same array. So we've kind of gone over that 100 times. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know. I probably should make this default to 0. It doesn't matter because it gets recalculated. But so I changed this Y speed from a constant, because it used to be a constant of speed 0 because I had turned it off. And then I added this code so that it calculates the new Y speed. And then I set the Y of the actual 3JS mesh based on the original position. So that's all just like before for X. So that's all good. Now, let's move on. Okay. This is where I did a really bad job architecting this. And honestly, like just to give myself sort of the benefit of the doubt here, the main reason I did that was to sort of demonstrate the whole memory leak stuff and all that. And it would have been better just to go straight to creating another component. And maybe a lot of these problems go away when I do that. Because, I mean, I think a lot of this is because the Angular forms are looking at the same data. There's no sort of disconnect between them. And that'll make more sense probably after the next video or two. But basically, on the effect, whenever something happens, I need to. So before, what I was doing is I was just saying, hey, if it's not an animation, if the animation dictionary doesn't exist, then go ahead and update the dictionary. Create a new entry for the dictionary and create the new pair and create the new form and all that other stuff. But what wasn't happening was if it already existed, it wasn't being updated. Um, so that's what I needed to add. And that is like there's a kind of a wrinkle there that I always miss. Um, I don't see it here. So, okay, so this is the else. This is the for each. This is if it already exists, then find the existing one. And then and I don't know why this doesn't throw a bug, but see how like I set the value and I patch the value and I say, hey, the start value needs to be patched with the new value. Um, but for some reason it lets you, and I really wish it would throw an error no matter how weird the error would be. It doesn't let you, it doesn't throw an error when you say like start value is equal to 1. Like, so what I was doing was I was doing this, and I do this like literally over and over and over again. Um, I always do this, and then I'm always surprised when it doesn't work. When you go to update it, you need to call either patch value if you only want to update one small piece of it, or set if you want to update a bunch of it. Um, and then I create a new form, and I don't know if that's necessary. Just could not get it to update until I added the set thing, and I don't think I need this. Line 35, and then I update the forms. And I'm not sure. I probably don't need that either. Probably this is probably all I need. But I've got bugs to fix. And that was that. And then update Y mesh. Okay, so yeah. So basically, we used to have update mesh, and then let's see, yeah, this was update mesh, and I changed it to update X mesh. This is not like if you're doing something like this, and then you're basically copying and pasting the whole code again and doing this, then you're on the wrong path. You're going that path always ends in tears. I only did it because I was just trying to get things working. I'm definitely would not be what the final code is going to look like. I kind of feel like committing it just so I can say this shouldn't be the way you do this, but I probably won't commit this code. But I kind of want to commit it so that next time I can show the difference. So I probably will commit this, but this should never ever, unless you absolutely have to, you should not commit code like this. Where you have sort of two functions that are duplicated. Honestly, if at the very least you should have another variable in here that says which item you want to update and update it that way. But that's not going to be an issue for me because this all of this stuff is going to end up in a new or a lot of this stuff. This is all going to be refactored because, and I'll get to that right now. This would be a perfect time. Animated item. So basically, this whole thing, this table here, is basically a duplicate of this table here. So if we go to animations, we have this table here, and then we have a duplicated table for Y here. These definitely scream, make me a component. So this is going to end up being its own component, and then a lot of these problems are just going to go away. And it would be kind of like cool and fun to sort of make all of this work perfectly as is the way it's coded right now, because there'd be a good learning experience. But and a lot of those learning experiences opportunities will be lost when I create a new component, because I believe a lot of these issues just go away. It's kind of like if you just do it right, a lot of problems. That's like kind of always been a big problem with me with a lot of tests and stuff. Is a lot of tests sort of test things that you would learn if you did stuff wrong all the time, and you would never even run across these problems if you just did stuff correctly. And these are like kind of delicious little learning opportunities that I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I probably should just sit there and just grind through it and figure them all out and figure out why all these little duplications are these little like weirdnesses are happening, why this isn't updating, and why when I update this, then this gets reset to this, right? So like if I change this to 28 and then I go over here, now this is 2, right? Like the the mysteries of forms and all that, like digging into that would reveal a lot for me to learn. But then, um, so just sort of avoiding that whole pitfall by creating a whole new form and passing in things, and then, or not a whole new form, a whole new component, and then passing things in, like that will avoid it, and then I won't have the opportunity to learn that. So I don't know. I probably will just fix it, and um, or probably just try to create a new component and see what happens there, um, just because I think that's the smart thing to do. But anyways, happy coding. Bye.